Welcome everybody to the town of Franklin's fourth field day. It's our 153rd birthday. Thank you for coming. We have much in store for you, and one of our first events is to crown our king and queen for 1989. Cliff Donaldson usually is here to do it, our county legislator, but Cliff's wife's going to have a baby, so he sent his apologies. I never apologized for having a baby. So, our king and queen for 1989, to tell you why they were chosen, the senior citizens group chose these two people to reign over 1989. So, Paul, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Cliff and I served on the Franklin County Board of Legislators for several years, and I'm sure he would be here, and if the baby has arrived soon enough, he probably will shoot over. But Mary Ellen asked me, it's great for me to present these two awards. I met both of the folks earlier this afternoon, and I'll wait for everybody to get out here. First, the Senior Citizen Queen for this year, 1989, is someone who you all know and love dearly. And she informed me she's moving to Peru, but she still holds land in Franklin County. So with that, the Senior Citizen Queen for 1989, Elizabeth O'Malley. Congratulations. She served as town clerk here for, I'm trying to find out how many, she hasn't told me.
Between her and her husband, 31 years.
Between her and her husband, 31 years, and that's quite an accomplishment. There we go. And the Senior Citizen King for 1989, a man who I met earlier trying to get a camera working this morning, a good friend of everyone here in the town, Ted Leon. Congratulations. And here comes the flower, Ted B. I hope she has better luck with the flower than I did with the camera. There we go. Nice round of applause.
We have Marie Williams and Thelma Buck. They're going to do some entertaining for us. Both talented ladies. If anybody would like to sing or do a sing-along, come on and join us. We have crafts out there, and there's lots of goodies that people have baked and made. So just stop by and look over what we have. One of our big events in this day is our raffle or donation day that we're having. It's $1 a ticket. We have over $700 worth of prizes. $50 saving bond, watches, calculator, a lamp, just little surprises. So just stop by the door and take a chance on these. They'll all be given out this afternoon. And then our barbecue starts at 4 o'clock. This is a roast pork barbecue. It's $5, and children under 12 is $2.50, and under 6 is free. We have hot dogs and hamburgers, popcorn, soda out in the back. There's games for the kids out back. Then we have a square dance, a block dance, right out here at 8 o'clock from 8 until 11. So come and join us. I'm glad you're here, and just stay around, please. Oh, our historical displays. Go back there and see those. Those are really interesting. Thank you, folks.
My display is about Vermontville and its happenings. I have a lot of old tax records and pictures and postcards, and I have a lot of newspaper clippings about things that were here and are gone. And it's basically a running history of Vermontville and the town of Franklin and the surrounding areas, anything that I feel that is pertinent to our town and its people. I'm very proud to be from the town of Franklin in Vermontville. And each of my books, I've tried to incorporate everybody that I can, anybody's name that looks familiar, sounds familiar. I clip it out, put it in. I also have some copies of Adirondack Life. We were in Adirondack Life in 1982. I am Luann Keith Gadway, and I hope that by preserving this little bit of history, and everyone that is in it, for years to come, everyone will appreciate and take notice and help preserve their own history and realize that we are very important and we should preserve everything possible and be proud of our towns, either the town of Franklin or the town of Harrietstown, the town of St. Armand, or wherever you live. Just be happy and be proud where you live.
My name is Ray Fadden. I founded the Six Nation Indian Museum in Onchayota, New York. I've taught in Indian schools for over 25 years. The purpose of the museum is to teach folks the truth about the Indians, their own culture and history. Most people fail to realize how much they owe the American Indian. Most of our food plants came from America, not from Europe, Africa, or Asia. I'll give you an example, what they don't put in their school books. All you've heard about corn, gift of the Indian, but how many of you know they had 200 kinds altogether? Corn, beans, pumpkin, squash, celery, buckwheat, maple sugar, maple syrup, vanilla, chocolate, peppers, tapioca, Irish potato, 79 kinds they had, sweet potatoes, peanuts, popcorn, chewing gum, peppers, pineapples, tomatoes, all gifts of the American Indian. Yet half the school books were to teach about Indians. The Indians hunted and fished, period. Never a mention of what they gave the world. Most of the people wouldn't be here if it had been for one gift of the Indian, that's rubber. First time white folks ever saw rubber, they saw Indians playing a game very similar to basketball. And when the ball came bouncing toward them, do you know what they did? They left a record of what they did. They ran away from it. They thought it was alive. That's the first time white men ever saw rubber. And they weren't just playing a game. They had practical uses for rubber. They were wearing waterproof clothing. They had rubber boots on. What would we have done without quinine, Indian medicine? We might not have built the Panama Canal or won World War I. Quinine is one of many medicines we use today, gifts to the American Indian. Quinine, cocaine, curare, save the baby, and according to Ripley, believe it or not, the first iodine and aspirin were American Indian medicines. In the 400 years that white men have dominated these two continents, they haven't discovered one medicine plant that wasn't owned by Indians. And I could go on, and that's the purpose of our Indian Museum, to show people the gifts of the American Indians to the world. That this civilization we live in today is not a white man's civilization. It's made up of the gifts of every race. White, black, yellow, red, brown. It's like a big kettle of stew. They just have onions in it to make it taste good. It has many things. That coffee I just drank, who do you suppose gave that to the world? The black race. It comes from Africa. That tea your mother drank, that comes from the Oriental people. That chocolate and cocoa you drank, that comes from the Indian people, American Indians. That firewater you just drank, that comes from the white man. I'm always saying that as a joke, but it's about time they started teaching the truth about other races, that this civilization is a gift of all people. It's not a European civilization. It's made up of gifts of every race in the world. That's all I have to say. You visit my museum and I'll tell you more.
I'm Teresa Ryan Eshelman, and this is my display of Alderbrook, Rock Street, and Sugar Bush. Most every building in this display is no longer, it's long since demolished, with the exception of maybe in Sugar Bush. The Russell House is still standing and looks very much like that today. The others, the old families, you can see 1903 and earlier dates have long since gone. The buildings are demolished. You notice a church on my left here. Father Richard O'Donnell was the pastor for many, many years. In fact, he came to this area in 1891 and was here until 1949 and served surrounding areas back then, rode horseback even for services. This building in the center here was his farm. Back in those days, the donations and the living, was very sparse, and he farmed for part of his livelihood. In the center, of course, you see the map of the town of Franklin and the area. The areas that we're talking about are indicated in color. On the right, there's a private camp. One of the earliest land developers, Leroy Frost, came here. He originally came to Loon Lake and then came to this area and used an old log building. You can see the camp over here. All made of logs. That camp is still standing. It's now owned by another private group from New York. On the bottom here, there is a bridge that it's on the north branch of the Saranac River. It's off Route 99. The bridge is, see if I have the date on here, 1900. And the town officials are listed on the plaque over the bridge, and it's still standing today. And one interesting note to me, my grandfather's name is on that bridge. He served as a justice in 1900. And I believe that about winds up this display.
Hi, I'm Helen Hogan. I'm taking care of a display for Jay and Roberta Friedman, who now have the Red Barn Antiques on the Onchiota Road. We have a display of Loon Lake postcards from the early 1900s, including a menu and some of the checks signed by Mrs. Chase. We also have a couple of pictures here from Vermontville of the old original Rogers store, and a bird's eye view of Vermontville from many years ago. We have this photo here, which is from 1935. It happens to be my home at the present time. It was the Stickney home, and at the time of that photograph, it was the Loon Lake Post Office, 1935. There's a picture there from the old Loon Lake Hotel, dinner menu. And I've had quite a few people recognize their own homes, which were cottages back in the days of the Loon Lake Inn and Mrs. Chase's reign up there.
This is a display about the Vermontville schools. One of the earliest schools we have was the 8th Square Schoolhouse, which is an interesting name. I tried to get a picture of it, but so far I haven't been able to come up with that. It was actually made in the shape of an octagon, and here's a similar school. Apparently these were built during the 1850s to 1865. For some reason they like to build them in the shape of an octagon. This particular one is built of stone, but the one here in Vermontville in the town of Franklin was built of logs. And it was a great school for many years. Helen Tyler wrote about it in one of her columns, and she explains about it and how in the center, I think she said, let's see, did she say the teacher's desk or did she say the wood box? They had very small seats near the front of the room for the younger children, and the older children sat in larger seats near the back. There was a bench for a water pail and a tin drinking cup, and in the center of the room there was a wood box which took wood up to 3 feet in length. Helen says the schoolhouse was 8-sided and built of logs. And this was in January 1856. Later on, there was a schoolhouse here in Vermontville known as the Old Red Schoolhouse. Eventually, it was turned into a town hall. And this is a picture taken in front of it. The picture dates to about 1900, and my uncle is in it. And the names of the pupils were given to me by an older resident. But I don't have an actual picture of that red schoolhouse. It just shows the porch in the picture. Presumably this was also taken in that same school. And the children are having an exercise. Apparently it's a patriotic exercise because they're each carrying a flag. And Teddy Roosevelt's picture is over the blackboard. And there's a motto pinned up there, and it says, "Good deeds cannot die." This picture was given to me by a woman who was formerly a Lamson girl, and her sister is there in the picture. In the same schoolhouse my father went at one time, and this is a list of the subjects that he took in his grades. Fortunately, he got good grades. He got 95, 98, he got 90 in penmanship, got 99 in geography. This is his picture and his brother. It's a copy of the school register and also has the names of his classmates. Here is the more recent picture of the present building that we're in today. This is the present town hall, but at one time it was a school that I attended in Vermontville. The looks of it hasn't changed that much. This is the diploma that they gave out in 1934 when I graduated from the 8th grade. And this is the building where we're having Founders Day today. This is a certificate I got for perfect attendance. Over here is a list of the teachers that taught in the school. It's taken from a history of Vermontville written in 1943 by one of the teachers who was here at that time. This is a display mostly in memory of my grandparents, who were Arilla Chase Pay and Sylvanus Pay, and this is their picture. They were married for 62 years, and on their 62nd wedding anniversary they received a letter of congratulations from President Hoover. This is a picture of, it's a copy actually of their family record with my grandmother's handwriting. The original has been put in a frame. I wasn't able to bring that, but this is a copy of their family record. They had 7 children. And of their children, 2 were in the war. The oldest one, Edgar, was in the Spanish-American War. This is his picture in his uniform. He's real handsome. This is their youngest son. His name was Harold. And he was in the World War I. He was stationed in France. And this is his picture here in his full uniform. I have letters that he wrote his mother from France, which are very interesting. This is not a son, but this is my grandmother's brother, Luther Chase, and he was in the Civil War. Is my great-great-grandfather, Bryant, who was in the War of 1812, and this is his discharge certificate. He's actually buried in the Vermontville Cemetery, and he's the only War of 1812 veteran that is buried in that cemetery. I've been telling you all about my family, my grandparents who were Pays, but I didn't tell you what my name is, and my name was Thelma Pay. It's now Buck. And I just enjoy family history, and I've worked on genealogy and family history for the past 25 years. And it's a job that you really never finish, but you're continuously working on it.
Today is Founders Day, and we've asked people to bring out some of their collections so that other people share with other people. This doll is over 75 years old, belonged to Aunt Ella Weaver. The grandchildren or the nieces and nephews would go to her house and take out the doll, Vivian, and have a great day. Aunt Ella would have been about 100 years old now. This is a chop, the popular chop at Christmas time. Well, this is one of the first chops that was ever made. It's a little broken down, but we can see what we meant by it. These, the cat and the dog, spent many hours just playing with the little folks, making them laugh. They're little rubber bands, really elastic in those legs. Just push the bottoms and get your dog and cat to do what they like. This is a little cup I've had since I was a little girl, a little tin cup. Probably was part of a tea set. This is what we used to call the little roadster. So a little car, it's heavy metal, and it operates with pedals. You can drive it all over. This has been in the family for many, many years. A special thank you to everyone who has worked so hard and to everyone who has supported Founders Day. We thank the many business places that have donated money, prizes, for the people that have worked to put this together. A great big thank you.